Your Planners. Today I'm going to be tackling some templates to use for daily pages in my bullet journal. I've got a list of things that I know I want to include on my daily pages, and now I'm going to figure out a couple of different options for me to lay these out depending on what I need that day. So go grab your planners and let's get planning. So my daily pages are really the heart of my bullet journal. This is where I capture my verse of the day, my journaling, any thoughts, decisions. I also capture list and brainstorming and master task list. It's just anything goes in my bullet journal, but the daily pages are where the real work occurs. I do not include daily pages in my ring-bound planner because I really like the freedom of the bullet journal, which this is an A5 Stalogy. I really like the freedom in here that I can morph it into whatever I need to be on that day or that week. So I've recently started to refresh and think about how I want to use my daily pages. This is how I have been setting up my daily pages for pretty much this whole year, and it's been working really well for me. However, I am finding that I need to incorporate a bit more. So basically, this is the layout. I would put my verse of the day at the top. I've got the date and the day here, 1 page per day, Bible verse here, and then just kind of loose and whatever I want to use this for. What I'm thinking is I'd like to incorporate a bit more structure. So I've done some research and I've got a great Pinterest board. I'm going to encourage you guys to go check this out. I'll have it linked down below. But I've gotten some ideas, and now I want to actually take the time to draw out some templates that I can quickly reference when I'm setting up for the next day and determine what it is I need. And I'd like to have about 4 or 5 different options to use for daily setups. All right, so for this first option, I am going to focus on using a time strip because there are some days that are so busy, I really feel like I'm going to need times to be able to track exactly what's going on. So with this, I can add in the time strip and this just start in the morning. So my morning starts at 6 a.m. and my night usually ends at about 10 p.m. And so then I can fill in the spaces between. I'll just put 12 somewhere here in the middle. And then I would just fill in the spaces in between with any timed items. For example, let's say I had a 8 a.m. appointment. I would just put that in here. And let's say I had a 7 p.m. Activity. I would just put that in here. So that gives me the option to actually have some timed items there. Now, the other things on my list are, first of all, I really enjoy having a Bible verse of the day at the top of the page. So I always want to leave room for that. And I like to have it highlighted so that it really stands out and sets the tone for my day. So I would put that at the very top in a highlighted section. And I will just label this Bible verse. All right, and that leaves me space to put the date here in the corner for the day. So that's a couple of items. I also want to have a dedicated space for a prayer list. So I'm actually going to divide up some of the page here and make a prayer list here. And I also want a dedicated space for gratitude. So I could make this space a space for gratitude. All right, the other sections that I want to have are a weather tracker and a triggers tracker. These are 2 things that I am wanting to track. Triggers, I've actually talked quite a bit about in my goal setting videos, so I'll link those down below so that you can check those out. I've been really focused on stress triggers and making sure to track those and kind of get my arms around what are the triggers, what's causing them, how to identify them, and I think tracking is really going to help. And then I just like to track the weather. I always have. So I want to incorporate that back into my daily pages. That leaves a section here that I would dedicate to journaling because I really do like to journal, somewhat of a memory keeping section. And so I would leave this open for journaling and memory keeping, just what's going on in our lives on that day. All right, so there is one template that I can refer to. I like that there are boxes here, sections, but it also gives me that view for when I have a lot of appointments going on in a day and different times to keep up with. I can put that right here. Now, I would not include anything related to work here. I do have a completely separate system for work. Given the nature of the work that I do have to keep that very separate from personal items. If you're interested in seeing more about that, I'll have that link down below. But this would be personal. So if I have a lot of personal activities going on that are timed, I would use this template. All right, the next option I want to create, I want to put journaling front and center because there are some days where journaling is just the most important thing. I really want to spend more time than would be allowed by a structured box like this on journaling. So in this template, I'm going to put the date across the top. I'm of course going to have my Bible verse there, and I'll use this space for the daily Bible verse right at the top of my page. Part of the reason why I like to keep this at the top is because the daily Bible verse is something that I actually get first thing in the morning when I'm doing my Bible study. So I like to start the day off with that. And then I think the next section I am going to dedicate the full side of the page to journaling. This way I've got this full section and I can actually come throughout the day and add in different parts and pieces if I want to. If I want to wait until the next day and come back and reflect on the day, I could put the journaling in there. That gives me the left-hand side of the page to structure a bit more. So I would start with a section on a prayer list because that is something I have as a goal and want to make sure I am keeping track of that. So I would put that here at the top. And then I also have to-dos and appointments. So I would put 2 boxes here for to-dos and appointments. So that gives a dedicated space to these 2 items. And that leaves gratitude, weather, and triggers. So I think what I would do is just steal a little space down here at the bottom for calling out gratitude. And then track weather and triggers here at the bottom. So this is a great setup when I want a bit more space for journaling and sort of capturing either during the day, throughout the day, or coming back the next day and capturing that journaling. I've got a dedicated space to do that. All right, for the next template I want to use, I am going to, of course, start with the Bible verse of the day at the top. That's a priority for me, so I'm definitely going to keep that at the top and highlighted. That is just one of those habits that I think all of my daily templates will have. And then I think for this one, I'm actually going to divide the page in half. And I'm going to keep this space below for journaling. So I'm going to leave the whole bottom half of the page for journaling. That gives me this top half of the page to do everything else in. So I think I'm going to end up using some list. So if I just break this page into sections and have 4 list sections, I could have prayers, to-dos, and appointments, gratitude, and tracking, which would include both weather and triggers. And what I have envisioned for this one is really just using like, for example, my zig dot marker, making some list, just like this. So this would be a very list-focused layout that also gives me that space at the bottom for journaling. And I like this setup also because I could go ahead and set this up for a couple of days ahead. Oh, let me add in the date here. I could set this up for a couple of days ahead and go ahead and start populating this top section, whereas I could come back real time or even the day after and add in the journaling for the day. So this is a totally different setup, but I think this is going to work really well on certain occasions. All right, the last template I'm going to give myself is actually going to be more focused on to-dos and appointments than anything else. And I'm thinking about this for like the weekends, where I don't journal quite as much on the weekends as I do during the weekdays. And that's because I don't spend a lot of time in my bullet journal on the weekends as I do during the week. So I'm going to give myself a space for a daily Bible journal and give myself for the date. And then I'm going to leave a very large space for a running to-do list. And this is on those days that are just super crazy, lots to do. And I could even see this using this for like a Saturday and a Sunday combined. And then that leaves me a space over here for a prayer list. It leaves me a space for trigger tracking, weather tracking, and gratitude. So whereas I've minimized my space for appointments and to-dos, I've got a little space over here for prayer lists, trigger tracking, weather, gratitude. I could even fit in another section for journaling, just really small, but this is really focused more on to-dos and less on journaling. So there's 4 different options, templates that I can use in my daily bullet journal pages. And I think that I'm going to use this as I'm setting up the next month and really setting up daily pages as I go. Come back to these and reference to see, which one makes sense for what I need. Do I need more space for timed activities? Do I need more space for journaling? Do I need kind of list structure today? Or do I need very little journaling or no journaling at all and lots of space for to-dos and appointments? Having this handy is really going to help me as I'm setting up my daily pages in my bullet journal. I hope that you found this helpful and got some value out of it. I would love to hear your ideas. How are you using the daily pages in your bullet journal? How are you structuring those? What are the different sections that you are including? I would love to hear those and possibly include them in my templates. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to Planning Annie for more content like this, and as always, thanks for planning with me.